Hey everyone, welcome to this weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast for the week of August 28th through September 3rd, 2023. All right, so a bit of a quiet week astrologically, at least in terms of the aspects, but we do have some important things going on. First of all, the full moon will be on Wednesday, and this is going to be in Aquarius. So this marks the halfway point of the lunar month, and usually a good time, and in this case, a good week, for doing a bit of a status check. How has the past couple weeks been going? What are some shifts and changes that perhaps we can make to further this energy forward? Now in Aquarius, it's all about connecting more to our collective side, our future-oriented side, and even innovative side as well. So really good to get in touch with that sort of future and collective energy with that. Could be quite grounding with the conjunction to Saturn as well. And then the other things we have are stations. So we have Uranus going station retrograde at the beginning of the week on Monday. This could be involving that Aquarius energy where maybe it's time for about the next 6 months to maybe rethink some of the things in our life that we might want to innovate, maybe rethink what we need in our life for freedom and more of that true self to come through. But this is usually quite subtle as Uranus is a slow-moving planet. The more personal one is that Venus is going direct around late Sunday and into early Monday of next week. And so there's a forward movement in regards to the things we've been reflecting on for about the past month and a half in regards to our values and relationships. All right, so let's go and take a look at all of this here in more detail when we return. Alrighty, so here is the sky for this week. We're going to look at this for each day of the week, starting first with Monday, August 28th. And as you can see, we are using the visible sky on this channel, which you won't see used very much, if at all, in mainstream astrology. And that's because, unfortunately, they don't use the visible side in its entirety. So if you are new to this channel, definitely check out the link down below for more information on using the visible sky and how this does change the signs from mainstream astrology. All right, so a bit of a recap here since, again, no real major aspects going on this week. Stations can be important though. Again, Uranus going retrograde, Venus going direct can be very important. And then of course that full moon, which would be around the Wednesday and even into the Thursday sort of time period there. Okay, but yeah. In this context, let's take a look at where the fast movers are. So we've got of course, the sun still in Leo. This is where we just had this lunar cycle start about a couple weeks ago. And so in this context, it's great to still be focused on matters of the heart, okay? The things and people that we love, okay? And cultivating more of those, things in our life and connections in our life and letting out some of that self-expression, letting out some of that joy and passion. What is it that, is close to our heart? What is it that we are passionate about that we can spend some time focusing on? And from this can come a creative energy, a playful energy, an expressive energy that Leo can often bring. So still good to very much be focused on this side of life. Now, Mercury has gone retrograde since last week, also in this constellation of Leo. And so maybe rethinking some things in this context and just in general allowing for some reflection or some experimentation, as retrogrades, especially with Mercury, tend to be really good times to try different things, to approach things from a different perspective, and maybe go back and revisit or reconnect to some things, again, maybe matters of the heart or anything that is on our mind or we've been thinking about in these recent weeks. Now, Venus did dip back into Cancer here very briefly, as now she will go station direct later this week. And so it's a great week for reflecting on our values, particularly our personal values. In this case with Cancer, it's about the more personal life. It rules things like home, family, the past, our own caring or nurturing sides. And so good time to be reconnecting with this, as once Venus starts to go direct, it'll really be about implementing that. But this week, with Venus still retrograde here, still good to be reflecting, reconnecting to our emotional body, our soul, and our personal lives there. And then Mars is doing his thing, his own independent thing, as he often does. He is in Virgo, And so in this case, really still the upcoming really couple months here, at least for Mars, still taking action in a way that is towards improvement and refinement. Mars, the planet of our drive and actions and needs, is in a very analytical, methodical, and improvement-oriented energy of Virgo. So good to let out that energy, that assertive Mars energy, in that improvement-oriented way. Okay, so looking at this for each day of the week and taking a look now at the moon's placement for each day of the week, let's go ahead and start with Monday, where Uranus is going to be going retrograde. Now, this is very common. He goes retrograde once a year, and it's for about half the year. So the next 6 months are good to be reflecting on things, and I would say just in general, since we just have so much retrograde energy at the moment. But in this case with Uranus, maybe some of this future visions and how we can be a part of things greater than ourselves. The full moon is going to help us do this. I'll talk about that in just a moment. That is Uranus' sign of Aquarius, where the full moon will be. But maybe early in the week, just kind of pausing and being aware that maybe there's some things to reflect on here in regarding our innovative side, our progressive side, the side that does want to induce change, not only maybe in the world of the collective, but also in our own personal lives, to have more freedom. And so our personal lives do speak more to our true selves, right? Listening to our excitement. These are the energies of Uranus. So good to pause with it. Again, we probably won't notice it very personally. Now, Uranus has dipped into Taurus sort of slightly. Uranus will officially enter Taurus next year. Okay, but maybe some glimpses in regards to what's on the horizon for the upcoming years starting next year. Really the next 10 years roughly starting next year, which can be innovating specifically in the context of our own personal resources of Taurus. Now, internal resources really is the fundamental here, like self-worth, self-value, and reconnecting with that and the freedom that that brings. But also externally as well, finances, income, or connecting more with nature in the natural world. So maybe some reflections there with Uranus right in between Taurus and Aries, but dipping a little bit close to Taurus at the moment. But the reflection for the next 6 months will certainly be on the Aries side of it, where he's already transited and where he's been before the retrograde. And so this is still very much about our own personal needs. How can we assert ourselves? How can we pursue our goals, who we are, what we want, let out that true self, and innovate with all those things. So still good to cultivate some of that fire, especially with Jupiter expanding Aries still at the moment, even though he's also retrograde. It's been a great year to become more aware of our needs and who we are, and also maybe be a bit open-minded about what we can take action towards in life and be proactive towards in life. All right, but the most personal thing here about Monday will be the lunar placement. So we will have the moon leaving Sagittarius from the weekend and then starting to go into more grounded Capricorn. And so a great early part of the week here to really take maybe anything we've been a bit open-minded about over the weekend, maybe shifted perspective with over the weekend, and maybe start to implement and ground. And I would say that's really going into Tuesday, where then the moon will be solidly placed in Capricorn. The full moon will be conjunct Saturn, Capricorn's planet, and so it really is dragging out for maybe this whole week in terms of it just being good to, again, do a bit of a status check with how we can see the long road in life. Do some things that do take some patience and perseverance on our part and build things, and it can end up being a very constructive, very perhaps disciplined, committed sort of week, whether we implement this more grounded approach to our work or our relationships or our personal life, whatever the areas may be. There is that longer term view, and certainly patience, discipline, and perseverance available with, again, that moon in Capricorn on Tuesday, but particularly with the full moon conjunct Saturn here. So the full moon will be late Wednesday, early Thursday for most of us. It will be in the constellation of Aquarius. Again, Uranus' sign, which is all about future vision, both for ourselves and collectively, and how we can contribute to that future vision, again, personally and collectively. So full moons are a status check time. It is important to recognize that, of course, this is the heightened energy of the lunar month, so it typically does promote things like more out in the world kind of energy, more action-oriented energy. But the full moon is a great time to be aware of things as that solar energy is bouncing off the moon, and it is definitely very representative of getting a new perspective on things. It could be in the yearly sense, of course, since we're dealing with the sun, but really in the monthly sense. And I think sort of awareness of what's been maybe shifting these past couple weeks in this lunar cycle, and particularly in the context of Leo, in regards to what we love and what's close to our hearts, that now we can balance out by focusing more in terms of implementing that into the future or into the collective. So a great time just to do, again, a bit of awareness in regards to all collective matters, the future, the world, innovation, technology, even our own smaller collective, our friends, our community, our network circles. And of course, in our own lives, what are some things that we can innovate there and get outside of our own status quo with there as well to, again, promote any future visions we may have that, again, we're likely noticing are taking time, and that's the Saturn energy. And maybe even with a lot of the collective stuff we can become aware of, maybe seeing the more serious or grounded side of it, again, with Saturn here. Okay, but seeing the long road, the patient road, when it comes to these future visions and collective matters and working towards them and building towards them, I would say is probably, in my opinion, the best way of working with this full moon. Okay, so great week in general, the surrounding days around Wednesday for that sort of innovative yet grounded energy of the full moon conjunct Saturn in Aquarius. Thursday, the moon will finish up Aquarius, again, placing a major theme on that. Again, no major aspects here, so it's going to be really about the full moon. And then the week ends with the moon in Pisces. And then so all the way from Friday through Sunday, a great time for really just having a bit of a more soul connection with things. Now, Pisces is a more internal sign, but again, being more in the heightened energy of the lunar cycle, and in this case, in what's called the disseminating phase of the lunar cycle, which is about now implementing these full moon insights. It is good to be receptive with the moon in Pisces here. Good time to connect with our soul, connect with our intuition, what's important to us on a spiritual level, on a soul level in life, and perhaps practice while, again, implementing still a bit of receptivity. Okay, and and of course, a great later part of the week for anything that does involve spirituality, imagination, intuition, and again, more of a soul connection like compassion or things of that nature. All right, and then the last thing here of the week will be Venus going station direct. Give it time. She's only pausing, and it's very late Sunday for most of us. And so it's just worth noticing that it is a good week to sort of wrap up and maybe finish up some of this reflection we've been doing in regards to both our values and perhaps also how we connect in our relationships, in all interactions with other. And so in this case, again, with Cancer, how can we reconnect with maybe that nurturing side, that protective side, see the value of that, see how we can connect in that way, both to ourselves and others. All right, and then maybe noticing some of these things shifting, because oftentimes once the planet starts to build momentum going direct, we start to implement a lot of the reflection. And in this case, it's been the reflection of the past month and a half, more recently about the protective energies of Cancer, but also more generally, while the bulk of the retrograde was in Leo, is also about implementing what we love, what we're passionate about, and again, what's close to our hearts there. Okay, but just pausing around our values, around maybe some relating stuff around Sunday, noticing that shift for what will be a lot of forward movement, especially if you've noticed that those areas of your life, values, resources, relationships, have either been more on the back burner or just kind of not really moving forward. We may notice start to move forward with Venus direct there. Okay. On a very minor note, we'll talk about this more next week, but Mercury will be trining Jupiter while Jupiter does go retrograde here. I apologize. I said Jupiter is retrograde. Jupiter will be going retrograde early next week. But good time to maybe start to pause a little bit with possibilities regarding inspirations, things we're maybe open-minded about or optimistic about, can be going through that reflection for about the next 4.5-5 months with Jupiter retrograde there. And maybe seeing that, maybe being a bit open-minded with Mercury's now second trine to Jupiter being retrograde, how can we reconnect with some of that open-mindedness as well? But I'll talk more about this next week. All right, so everyone, that is the week in a nutshell. We do have that full moon late Wednesday, early Thursday. It is in Sidereal Aquarius, which is all about this future vision, both for ourselves and collectively. And with Saturn, it's a reminder of how we can ground the energy and build it for the long term. We do have these stations this week, Uranus going retrograde, suggesting a slow shift towards reconnecting with that true self that wants excitement, wants to listen to our excitement, wants to contribute, and wants more freedom into our lives. And then the Venus going direct, suggesting a bit of starting to implement perhaps those values and reflections on our relationships. All right, so everyone have a fantastic week. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to click the like button if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you're not yet signed up for MTZ Insiders, it is a free newsletter that gets delivered to your inbox every week with this video, along with other content like articles and promotions and even podcasts and other true sidereal related stuff. So if you're not signed up yet for that, do so down below. But again, have a great week, everyone, and I'll see you all next time for the next weekly forecast. Take care.